Okay, so this is our topic for today. This is the 11th canto. We'll be going from 11 to 15. That's where we complete the instructions of Narada Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So this is a story within a story within a story, right? So we know it is um, Parikshit Maharaj listening from Sukadev Goswami, and then the same story was said by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya, and then we're discussing about the episode of Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj at the when Krishna was made the guest of honor, and Narada Muni was answering Yudhishthira's questions. So that episode is still going on because Sukadeva Goswami was answering the questions of Parikshit about, like how does is there any hope for bad people, and what happens to them, and all those questions have been answered. And in the seventh canto we have been discussing about inclination or uti, so favorable inclinations of great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj is what we covered in the previous previous chapters. And now we go into the last section of the seventh canto, where Yudhishthira Maharaj asks the questions of what is the different strata of society. Um, Social classification is what, and you all probably also learned in school about caste system in India. So we're going to learn about that today, what the Srimad Bhagavatam says, and how the caste system, which is a spiritual system, became degraded and concocted into something really bad in India. So we'll learn about the real caste system mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the caste system or classes of society is present in any society. Even in America, you can say there are these classes, but nobody is really, seeing that. But Srimad Bhagavatam calls that out. In any society, there would be four classes. So the people who learn and teach, who are in very knowledgeable, in the Vedic times, they are called the Brahmanas. And then the administrators, or who takes care of the ruling class, they are the Kshatriyas. And then the mercantile class, or who does trades, who does cow protection, um, who does agriculture, they are the Vaishyas. And then the fourth class of men are Sudras. They are the working class who works under the direction of the previous three classes. And what we can see in the society today is most of the people are Sudras. Like me, I'm going to work, I'm getting salary, so I'm a servant of of my boss, or the enterprise. So everybody's living as a Sudra. And maybe you can think of the scientists and the researchers who are working in the knowledge space. They are like the highest class, and then the politicians who are the administrators. So even though we don't call it out as different parts of society, it's actually there in any society. So it's not like the caste system is was something bad in India, is what people will tell you today. But then this is just a classification of people in a society, is called Varna or class. So this was a question answered by Yudhishthira Maharaj to Narada Muni. So before he talked about Varna, he also asked, what is Sanatana Dharma? What is the difference between Sanatana Dharma and Varnashram Dharma? So Sanatana Dharma is the eternal constitutional duty of a soul. So in this world, we have many duties. Like I can be I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son. So I have duties as each of these designation. But then the duty that never changes is called Sanatana Dharma, the eternal duty. And even if you reach your goal, that duty still continues. So that is Sanatana Dharma. It's not temporary. While everything else, all the identification and duties you have is temporary. You once you achieve your goal, you don't have to do it again, or things like that. Or if your body changes, you get another body. So now you are a Sudra or a worker, and then you are born as a king. Your duty is to rule. So that's so all the Varna duties or the class of society is a temporary duty, but Sanatana Dharma is your eternal. Eternal means never ending. Because you are never ending. Though your body would die at the expiry date, your soul never dies. So the duty of the soul towards Krishna is Sanatana Dharma. So Narada Muni explains this wonderful fact to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And he tells him that bhakti is the eternal duty of a soul. So what is bhakti? There are 21 different assisting items for bhakti: being truthful, being merciful, austerity, bathing twice a day, tolerance, discriminating between right and wrong, control of mind, control of the senses, non-violence, celibacy, charity, reading of scripture, simplicity, satisfaction, rendering service to saintly persons, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements, observing the futility of unnecessary activities of human society, remaining silent and grave and avoiding unnecessary talk, considering whether one is the body or the soul, distributing food equally to all living entities, both men and animals, seeing every soul, especially in the human form, as part of the Supreme Lord. So these are all assisting aspects for bhakti, which is bhakti or love for God is the eternal or Sanatan Dharma of every soul. So Narada Muni beautifully explains what would help in bhakti, and these are the 21 items. Then there are 9 items for pure devotional service that, Prahlad already mentioned that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So these are the 9 aspects or limbs by which you can practice bhakti. So hearing that, just like all of you are saying, all of you are hearing today and listening about Krishna, that's the first and most important process. Also, when you chant mantras, you're hearing the mantra. So hearing causes a lot of purification because sound is very purificatory. So, um, so that all these forms of bhakti are explained again, and he established what is Sanatan Dharma. And now we go into Varnashram Dharma, which is about the society. When you come to society, that's about the material world. So what is your duty in the material world is what Narada Muni is going to explain to Yudhishthira Maharaj next. So as I said before, there are 4 Varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And the Brahmanas worship Lord and teach how to worship Lord. They study Vedas, they teach others, they give charity and accept charity. Uh, the symptoms of a Brahmana is they control the mind and senses, they are very austere, they do penance, their cleanliness, satisfaction, and forgiveness are other symptoms of those who are in the uh, uh, Brahmana class of society. The Kshatriyas, they accepting charity, all 5 duties of the Brahmanas they can perform, but their main duty is make livelihood by levying taxes on other classes except Brahmanas. Now, they are not supposed to get taxes from Brahmanas as the ruling party, But in today's society, we don't care for those who are God, closer to God, and learning about God and the Vedas. We don't care for them so much. But in the Vedic society, they were never charged taxes, because all their material duties were taken care of them, so that they could focus on the spiritual aspects of life, and they could help others come closer to God. Um, so that's what is asked here. Kshatriyas charge taxes on to Brahmanas. So then Kshatriyas also, they're influential in battle, they're unconquerable, patient, challenging, charitable. So all those are qualities of Kshatriyas. Vaishyas are agriculture, trading, cow, and protection. They're devoted to demigods, guru, supreme personality of Godhead. They endeavor for making money, expert in earning money. Um, they also endeavor for dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the four pillars of slow gradation to spiritual life. Um, so they do that. Shudras, the only duty is to accept a master, have a boss of a higher social order, and work for them. So they also have cleanliness, free from duplicity, and they honor and respect the higher classes. So this is the 4 Varnas mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, so then there are a lot of details of how Brahmana can do alternate jobs in case of emergency, like if they have nobody to provide them with grains, they have to do um, grow grains and grow their food, etc. So we're not going into all those details. Um, and it is mentioned that a pure devotee of Krishna is a Vaishnava, and Vaishnava is above even Brahmanas. Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are like a material strata of society. Even higher than them is Vaishnava. Okay, so then we learn about the four um, spiritual ashramas. So this is the ashrama is a place or an institution for improving your spiritual life. So it's actually said there are 4 ashramas. So ashram, you know the word, right? Ashram is where you can go to a place, take rest, um, and get away from a bad situation. So this material world is, pulling us in different directions to do uh, things that are temporary, and we are not focused on our primary goal of being a devotee of the Lord. But when you come to an ashram, you learn how to be a good devotee of the Lord. So there are 4 ashrams. There's a brahmachari ashram, there's a grahastha ashram, there is a vanaprastha ashram, and there's a sannyasra ashram. So brahmachari ashram is where um, you go to a guru and learn from the guru how to be a good devotee of the Lord. So that those are the 4 spiritual classes that we are talking about here. So then Narada Muni talks about what are the duties of a brahmachari. Um, so he should control his senses, he should be submissive, an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master, live in Gurukula only for the benefit of the guru, wake up early in the morning and worship the Lord in the morning and evening, serve the spiritual master uh, and Lord Vishnu, study the Vedic mantras. Um, so then there are very, very austere different aspects mentioned in the Brahmachari ashram. And during the times, the 5,000 years ago, when Srimad Bhagavatam was written by Vedavyas, it is said that they had to, wear deer garments, matted hair. Um, so again, this was for that time. This time, we don't have to do all that. We just have to find a good guru, and the guru will instruct us how to be good students. And all of you are good students going to school, learning how to be a good student. Don't get sidetracked with all the other things that there are kids who take drugs, who wants to, engage with the opposite gender so much. They're focused on all that. So what we can learn from these instruction is how to be a good student as a brahmachari, and study so that you can be a good devotee of the Lord also, not just your material subjects, but also learn about spiritual subjects. Um, so then there are a lot of details of how to be a good brahmachari. Then we discuss um, about vanaprastha. So vanaprastha. So actual gradation is brahmachari, grahasthashrama, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. There's a whole chapter about grahasthashrama and sannyasa. So the topic shifts to vanaprastha. So vanaprastha is when a person lives a retired life. So after he has raised his kids and he has retired from his work, how to live the life is nicely mentioned in this section of the instructions by Narada Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And it mentions how, one should, see the body, like body as the five elements, right? Like there are holes in the body, like our nostrils, and where there is only space, like holes in the body is one can think of it as ether. So there are the five elements we mentioned. So ether or space, right? And then the breathing, we are breathing in air, and then it's mentioned the heat, like the digestion, it requires the chemical reactions that cause heat, and that's the fire energy in our body. The bodily fluids is the water, and then the skin, muscles, bone, it's actually part of the earth. So you can see this body is just a mixture of the five elements that the Lord had created for us to live in this material world. So seeing ourselves different from the material energy, which consists of space, air, fire, water, earth, we have to think that we are the soul. So this is something that one can focus on in their Vanaprastha ashram. So then it is discussed about the qualities of a sannyasi. So a sannyasi is the perfect human being who is completely in the spiritual life. He has nothing material. He doesn't stay in one place. He keeps traveling. He wants to teach others about God and uh, how to live a perfect life. So to explain that, um, Narada Muni discusses how about an interaction between Prahlad Maharaj and a person who has completely renounced life. So everybody in the society was just thinking, oh, this is just a person who doesn't care about life, and he's just complete covered with dust and on the street somewhere. But actually, he was a very exalted sannyasi who had actually renounced everything, and um, after reaching an older age, he was following Avaduta kind of sannyasi. So in our times, we know Srila Prabhupada, who came to America to preach about Krishna and teach the society about Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. He is a first-class sannyasi because he could have just, taken it easy. In the old age, we know our grandparents, when they get old, when it's cold or when it's raining, they just want to rest at home. They don't want to exert so much. But at the age of 70, Srila Prabhupada, he left everything he knows and understands in India. He just came with his Srimad Bhagavatam with just 40 rupees in hand. He just came into to the US in a ship where he had some massive heart attacks, and he came and did his duty. So that's an example of being a good sannyasi in this age. Um, so the qualities of sannyasis mentioned. Um, so material literature should be rejected and avoided. Arguments and professionalism for livelihood. They should know material allurements to gather many disciples. Advanced sannyasis may or may not accept the different sannyasi symbols like the stick and the saffron. There are different ways of being a sannyasi. It's actually all in the mind, but what you actually follow is what's most important. Another thing I just didn't mention regarding the different society is you're not becoming a brahmachari, sorry, a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, sudra by birth. By birth, many people are following what their parents did, and they like a brahmana's child. If you're following all the principles, they become a brahmana. But if somebody is not following the principles, then that person cannot be called a brahmana. Even a sudra can become a brahmana if he follows all the right rules. So it's not by birth. So that's what happened in society in India. Is like a particular class of society was formed. It's by birth. Like their children were the privileged ones, and anybody else were looked down upon. But it is clearly said in Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't become a higher class by birth. You become a higher class by following the principles and living a life of quality. Um, so it is by the qualities or the character you have that you have this different designations of higher or lower class. Okay. Prahlad Maharaj learns about the sannyasis or the perfectly renounced order of life from this renounced person. Okay. So then, so here are the this Avaduta Brahmana. So he's a Avaduta Brahmana, meaning he's completely renounced. He so his eating habits are he sometimes eats less. Um, Whatever comes his way is only thing he eats. His dressing style is to cover the body with whatever he gets. Sleeping habits, sometimes he lies on the surface of the earth or sometimes on leaves. So his life is completely focused on the Lord. He's not worried so much about the material aspects of life. Um, Prahlad Maharaj learns from this Avadut Brahman about how to be a great sannyasi and how to leave this world. Um, and then there's a chapter about ideal family life, which is very important for all of us because we are living in the family. And it's called Grahastha Ashram. So Sannyasa Ashram is there, Brahmachari Ashram is there, and Vanaprastha Ashram is there. So let's cover this living a perfect householder life. So if you keep Krishna in the center and if you raise kids to make them good devotees of the Lord, you do your work, you provide for your family, and you with your earn money, you worship the Lord, then you're living a grahasthashram life. But if you're living a life of just sense enjoyment, you're just looking to selfish enjoyment, you don't have the Lord in your life, then you're called a Graha Medi because your selfish life is not going to help you in the long run. Yeah, it's just going to keep you in, in the so-called happiness and distress of the material world. You'll never get to enjoy spiritual happiness if you don't have the Lord in your life. So then this distinction between a good householder and a bad householder are all mentioned by Narada Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and how to conduct different ceremonies, how to have nice kids. It all starts at the time of marriage, the different sanskaras to be followed during marriage, how to find a good partner for your life, how to have kids, how to invoke a nice soul to be your kid. All that is mentioned in detail in these chapters. Okay. Then once the soul leaves the body, how to do the ceremonies like Shraddh ceremonies are there. All that is mentioned, and these are all aspects that a good householder should follow in their life. And then before closing out this canto, Narada Muni mentioned about the chariot analogy, how the five senses that we have, our eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin, all these are pulling us in multiple directions. Each of them wants to give us a good enjoyment for that particular sense. So it's like the soul is the passenger, and the mind is the reins, the intelligence is the chariot driver, and um, it's all going in different directions. So unless you bring God into your life, uh, it's like you're being taken away by this chariot that goes in multiple directions and it's very difficult to reach the destination. So all this is mentioned. There's also a story that Narada Muni tells Yudhishthira Maharaj about Barahavana. So he in his previous life was Barahavana, and uh, he had come for a kirtan festival in the celestial realm. He was a Gandharva, but he was focused on the females around him, and he was not uh, praying properly to the Lord. So that's how he got cursed to be born as a Sudra in the material world. But then he was very fortunate to serve some nice devotees who came to the house. His mother was a maid servant. So we learned about the story in the previous canto, and how Narada Muni became such an exalted person because he served the great Vaishnavas. But earlier, he was this Barahavana who was, focused only on sense enjoyment, and he fell down from his Gandharva position to the material world. But then, due to his good fortune, he became a great devotee, and that's how he became Narada Muni. So all of us have this opportunity to become good devotees of the Lord and go back home and please the Lord and serve Him for the rest of eternity. So that concludes our chapter for today. And now we can go to the Kahoot if you don't have any questions. So let's start the Kahoot. The pin is still loading. It's 3176861. That's 3176861. Also, I forgot to mention a point. It's called Anuloma and Pratiloma. So Anuloma is when a lower class woman is married by a higher class man. It's called Anuloma, and that's considered better than Pratiloma. Pratiloma is when a higher class woman marries a lower class man. So like a Brahmana woman marries a Kshatriya, that's called Pratiloma. And that's not very favorable. There are many examples like that in stories. We will cover that. Devayani is a great character who is the daughter of Shukracharya, a Brahmana. She marries Yayati, that is a Kshatriya. And um, for a reason, but we will discuss all that. There's another example of Kardama Muni marrying Devahuti. Devahuti is a Kshatriya woman married by a Brahmana, Kardama Muni. He's a Prajapati. So that is more favorable uh, because Kardama Muni is a great devotee of the Lord. He's a Brahmana. He married a Kshatriya. That's fine. That's how we had the Supreme Lord also being born as their son. So I just wanted to cover that because there's a question on that. Sorry about that. Let's start. Everybody has joined. Okay, the 4 Varnas, so social classes, 4 Ashramas, spiritual classes, behavior, family life, and instructions is the topic for today. There are 17 questions. What is the eternal duty of Sanatana Dharma of every soul? Develop love and serve Krishna, amass knowledge, perform different posture exercises, give money to poor. Yes, the correct answer is develop love and serve Krishna. Give money to poor is good charity work that one would do if they're already a devotee of the Lord, because they are paradukha dukhi. But a person who just gives money to the poor but doesn't care about Krishna is not the right person. He's not doing his eternal duty. Okay. All right. Nitin ji is in first place, then Krishna devotee, Santosh ji, Radha Chaitra ji. Okay, without devotion for Krishna, one can be successful by following daily duties or dharma. True or false? False. Yes. So, there are many people in society who say, oh, I'm doing all the right things. I don't need Lord. But it's only a matter of time that they get influenced by Maya and they become bad. So only if you're connected to the pure goodness in Lord, you can always be good. So you can tell anybody who says, oh, I'm always doing the right thing, but I don't care about God. So you can tell them this, that you need God to be doing the right thing. All right. So Santoshji is now in second place. Third question. What are the 4 castes, class of society based on occupational duty? Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, truthfulness, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, billionaire, millionaire, poor, extremely poor. Okay, these are the 4 social classes or varnas. Okay. Fourth question. Krishna worship, teaching worship, studying and teaching Vedas, accepting and giving charity is the duty of Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. Yes, Brahmana. Very good. Okay, next. Do not accept charity, levy taxes and fines on others except Brahmana is the duty of Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. So who are the ruling classes of men? In today's age, they're like the politician. Yes, Kshatriya. The right answer. They're the administrators. Santoshi is back in first place. Sixth question. Agriculture, trade, and cow protection is the duty of Sudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana. So trade and agriculture, doing business, which class of men do that? Yes, it's a Vaishya. Okay, serving others and earning a livelihood is the duty of Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. So this is the working class of men who just follows their boss. Whatever the boss said, they do. Yes, the Shudras. So you can see today everybody is living a Sudra's life. Okay, Anuloma versus Pratiloma. Pratiloma, high-class woman marrying low-class man. Anuloma, low-class woman marrying high-class man. Anuloma is better than Pratiloma, all of the above. Yes, all of the above is the right answer. True or false? Varna class is based on birth and not the qualities of the person. True or false? So if a person is born as a Brahmana, he's a Brahmana always. That's not true. You're right. It's false. You have to have the qualities. Okay, 10th question. A person serving a guru in a Gurukula is following sannyasa, grahastha, brahmacharya, vanaprastha. So these are the 4 ashrama questions. Yes, it's a brahmacharya ashram is learning in a Gurukula under a guru. A person retired from family life is following sannyasa, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha. Yes, vanaprastha is the right answer. A person not dependent on anything material, always traveling, is following sannyasa, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha. Yes, sannyasa is the right answer. A person raising a Krishna conscious family is following sannyasa, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha. So having kids, but also serving the Lord by raising good kids. Yes. Which one? Grahasthashram. Very good. True or false? There are 5 types of adharma: vidharma, paradharma, abhasadharma, upadharma, and chaladharma. So sorry I didn't cover this in class, but you can guess. So dharma has many meanings. It's duty or religion. So there are 5 types of irreligion. So there's religion and irreligion. Dharma is the good rules to follow. Adharma means the wrong rules. So many people have created many kinds of institutions. So Vidharma is what, following totally the wrong things, like criminals and all that. They're Vidharma. Paradharma is trying to do somebody else's duty where you can't, you're not qualified to do it. You're going and doing that. That's Paradharma. Abhasa dharma is, whatever comes to your mind, you're going to do that. Upadharma is pretentious religion where you are acting as if you're very exalted and you're following something. And Chala dharma is where you are trying to cheat somebody by following something. So all these kind of people can be found. All these type of religions are there in this world. So we are very fortunate that we are following that's coming from Krishna by a disciplic succession. So we are not following somebody who whimsically created a religion, and we are not doing that. So you should all be very fortunate, feeling very fortunate and happy that we are following Srila Prabhupada and knowledge coming from Krishna. Okay. What are the 2 types of activities that can be performed? Pravritti and Nivritti. So, path of material enjoyment, path of detachment, get entangled, cessation from material desires, all of the above. Yes, all of the above is the right answer. So one can live a life just with, you know, doing their material duties. That's pravritti. And nivritti is following where you're following the Lord, doing whatever pleases the Lord. Okay, very good. The material world we live in is false and does not exist. True or false? Yeah, false is the right answer because this material world um, is is actually the energy of the Lord. It exists, but it's just an inferior place. This principle that we are in a dream, the place does not exist. That is the theory of impersonalists. They're Brahman realized people. They think, oh, um, Ishwar Satya Jagat Mithya, right? So they think only God, we are all God, and then God is the only thing real. Everything else is false. So as devotees of the Lord, we don't, that's not our belief. That should be very clear that this is all real. This is the Lord's energy, except that this is temporary. Um, the better world is the spiritual world. Okay, that's important concept to know. All of you got that wrong, but you can learn. How was Narada Muni in who was Narada Muni in previous life when he was cursed to be born as Sudra? Uddhava, Urukrama, Upabarhana, Uti. So I mentioned this Upabarhana or Uti or Urukrama. I mentioned that name in the class. Yes, it is Upabarhana. Okay, let's see who is on the podium. Third place goes to Nitinji. Second place goes to Krishna devotee. That's Ayana. And first place goes to Santoshi. And all of you who played are winners. Radha Chaitra and number 5, I don't know who that was, but all of you did a great job listening and coming to class and learning. Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpatarupasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. See you all next week.